Okay, hi everybody from Belmont and Lexington. Thank you for joining us. My name is Miss Lacasse. I'm the band director at BHS, and we're here to present a few segments on leadership and culture. So we have some characters that we would like to introduce so everybody gets to know everyone. So I'm going to introduce Mr. Cassidy first.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jared Cassidy. I'm the K-12 Performing Arts Director at Lexington Public Schools. I also work with the band program with one of my other colleagues who's in this room, Justin Armati. We're really excited about our collaboration with Belmont this year, as we are looking at really kind of like this crazy unprecedented time that we're in right now, having an opportunity to kind of look at our program in a different kind of way, look at it from the inside out, if you will. We all know that our programs have excellent musicians and amazing resources and opportunities, but music drives so much deeper than that. And within the context of our organizations, Belmont and Lexington together are going through some of the similar things, and we're excited to have this collaboration move forward. So I'll introduce Justin Armati, our other band director.
Hey everyone, my name is Justin Armati, and I'm a full-time teacher at Lexington High School, as Jared said. I work with a few jazz classes, and I work directly with the LHS Concert Band and LHS Symphonic Band, and sort of assist with the wind ensemble.
Cool. So let's go on. We also have, also from Belmont Public Schools, we have Arto Azadorian.
Hey everyone, I'm Arto Azadorian. I'm the K-12 Visual and Performing Arts Director for the Belmont Public Schools. I was formerly the band director at Belmont High School, and prior to that taught instrumental music in elementary schools and middle schools. So I've seen a wide range of band programs and levels over the course of my career, and I'm looking forward to talking with everyone today.
Yes, and of course, we have this wonderful collaboration going. We've also made some wonderful connections with some professionals and amazing motivational speakers when it comes to not only band programs and music programs, but about organizational structure and everything. So we're so happy to have with us today Dr. Matthew Arau. He comes to us from Lawrence University, and he also works with a company called Upbeat Global. So Dr. Arau, would you like to say a few words, please?
Sure. Hi, everyone. It's great to see you, and thanks for spending some time with us today. I'm just delighted to be able to share this Zoom room with such amazing music educators who care so much about their student, which is why they're putting this together. I myself have also had a lot of experience as a band director. I taught in Loveland, Colorado for 15 years, where I was a middle school director for 8 years and then high school director for 7 years. Now I have the joy of teaching and conducting the band at Lawrence University in Appleton, Wisconsin. Also, I head up the music education program there. So it's so wonderful to get to train future and prepare future music educators. But in addition to that, I have the opportunity to teach leadership to students and teachers all over the country and all over the world. And so I'm so excited to get to focus on Lexington and Belmont high schools, and just kind of, as Mr. Cassidy said, look at it from the inside out and take it from here.
Yeah, so we're excited. We have a series of videos that we're going to be talking about some specific topics that focus in leadership, as well as culture, in terms of what excellence is, and reimagining a little bit of what our roles are and what our why is, and not only within our band programs at large, but within music in our lives in general. So we're excited to have some topics. We're going to have some informal dialogue, and we're hoping that you're going to have some opportunities to really reflect and to apply some of these concepts throughout the year through our future collaboration. Okay. So I think the first topic we're going to be talking about is culture. And I think that the question is, how do we define culture, and what does culture mean to you? So if you're looking in the context of our band program, some of you have joined your ensembles because you want to play music at an exceptionally high level. Some of you have joined because you just enjoy playing your instrument and you just want to be around other peers and other colleagues and other musicians. There's a variety of different ways that reasons why we've entered our program, but all of that is underscored by the culture, the kind of learning environment, and the organization as it stands and how it impacts us as people. So with this being said, I'm going to open up the conversation, I guess, to some of the other panelists, if you will, in terms of what they believe culture is and why is it important within the context, and why is it important to build within the context of our ensembles and our programs. So I'm going to start with Miss Lacasse.
Thank you, Mr. Cassidy. So when I hear culture in regard to a band program, the first few words that come to mind for me are community, feeling like you have a sense of true belonging, and feeling like you are part of a family that is going to last beyond the 4 years or 6 years or however long you're in a particular band program. So of course it has a lot to do with the music and the performances and all of the great perks that come along with being musicians, but it's the feeling that you get when you walk into your band room or your music hall and you feel like you're home. And I think that that's what we as teachers in the music world are always trying to provide. We're trying to provide a warm, welcoming space that is safe to fail, safe to make mistakes, safe to grow, where you come in one day and you have, you know, maybe your personal worst rehearsal, but that turns into one of your best learning experiences as a musician. So I think it's all about how do we take the steps together as a group, whether it's 50 people, 100 people, 500 people, to make everybody feel like they are welcome, they are valued, and a place where they can just grow and be better people when they leave.
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, we want to have people that just people want to feel safe, they want to feel supported, they want to feel empowered, and we have a wonderful opportunity here to collaborate. So I'd love to hear Dr. Arau, if you will, give some perspective from you with your experience and also the kind of leadership things that you've done to help support culture within such programs.
Sure. As I've had the opportunity to step into many different rehearsal environments, I've observed that cultures vary. And so much has to do with the alignment of values and what's important to the members of the organization, particularly what's important to the leader, which is the director. And in so many cases, where the leader goes, the organization goes. I've heard it said that character is to the individual as culture is to the organization. Mm. And when we begin with looking within ourselves, and what's important to us? What are our values? What does integrity mean to us? What does trust mean to us as an individual? And then we take it from the individual and expand out to the group. And culture is so important. We've learned that as culture improves and becomes much more positive environment, every aspect of the program lifts up. And that's why we focus on culture so much, because as we can look under the rocks and see what's under, open the curtains and see what's behind there, and try to get to that place of culture that Ms. Lacasse talked about, which is an aspirational goal to create a culture of community where there's a connection and belonging. And I love this idea of belonging, where you don't need to change who you are to belong. You get to be you. And when we can create a family where everyone's accepted, then you're on the right path, where everybody does feel safe. There's 3 pillars for a successful culture. And one is there needs to be safety and security. And so it's really important for everybody in the organization to actually start thinking about that. Does everybody feel safe? Does everybody feel secure? And really look deeply into that. The second is that we need to have this feeling of community, this feeling of connection, which comes from trust. And it really begins with the leaders trusting first, extending a hand of trust. And then thirdly is where we need an alignment of vision or alignment of purpose. And that's where everybody agrees, where are we headed with the group? And so those are just some introductory ideas about culture and why it's important.
Absolutely. I love that idea. And it's a collective too. And everybody is integrating themselves within the culture. It's not just necessarily one person. I appreciate that what you said about the leader kind of providing that vision, if you will, but along with that, having the same opportunity for students in this case to have a say and have a participatory role within that is really, really important. And I think that when I think about our programs and everything like that, we have tiered programs. So some of ours, we have symphonic band, concert band, wind ensemble. Regardless of which ensemble you're in, you're still part of that overarching organization. I think that's something that I know for us in Lexington, I think I've talked with Ms. Lacasse about this as well in Belmont, to kind of break down those walls a little bit, because everybody's role is just as important, definitely. Mr. Armati, you and I've had some really great conversations about this in the past. I'd love to hear your perspective.
Sure. So I think for me, the key to culture is values. And I think the difference between sort of values and culture is that a culture is a sort of a group of shared values. When you have a community, culture is something that a community can have. So if a community of people have a certain culture, that culture consists of their shared values, their shared beliefs, their shared practices. things like that. And I think it comes from so many places. I mean, it's to some extent a chicken or the egg thing where I think people who are part of the culture have to bring something. And I do think the leader obviously has a major role in steering and growing the culture. So, I mean, you know, without wanting to get too much into the details, I suppose I could imagine the director is the one who plants the seed, and then the community is the group that sort of waters it and fosters it, and together they grow it into something that any one of them couldn't necessarily have created on their own, but they created through the incredible energy and shared power of them all being together.
And I love what you just said about the shared power. It's that investment in one another. I'll probably talk about this in one of our other videos, but I have this idea of like, we've been talking a lot about purpose and our why and things like that. And it's that shared purpose. And, you know, we're not just, we as directors don't want to just be telling our kids, this is what we're going to believe in. This is why we're going to do it. We have to have that kind of buy-in. We have to have that understanding, that shared understanding. I love that. Mr. Azadorian, from your perspective, especially as a coordinator and then now as a band director or whatnot, what's your perspective in terms of culture?
Right. So actually, you just said something. So to just kind of jump off of that, you know, no matter what the director or the leader wants the culture to be, at a certain point, the culture is what it is, right? So like you could stand on the podium, or Justin or Allie can be up on the podium and kind of telling everyone what you want this place to be like, but you can't do it by yourself, right? So to me, the culture as sort of an observer of, or I guess like I guess I would say like I'm helping Ms. Lacasse guide the band program where she and the students want it to go, and the same with all of our other teachers. But so really, I'm more kind of observing the culture and then helping to guide it where it wants to go. So to me, the culture is like, just what does it feel like when we're here in this space and everyone is doing the thing that they're here to do? You know, we're all here for band rehearsal, orchestra rehearsal, chorus rehearsal, whatever it is. And now there's 35 people or 60 people or 100 people in the room with the director. What does it feel like? How do we treat each other? How do we communicate with one another? To me, that's the culture of the program. And there's, you know, we know there's good days and bad days, and everyone, you know, leaders and students and everyone alike has, you know, you have days that you wish you could take back. So not every snapshot is indicative of the culture. But really, I think that's who it is. That's what it is. It's like, what does it feel like when we're doing this together? What are we all tense and worried about the upcoming performance, or are we comfortable and supportive and feeling good about what we do together? Yeah, that's what I think about culture.
I absolutely think, and in this kind of crazy time that we're kind of living in right now, you know, I said this a couple times, some students and some colleagues, is that like, yes, our students have signed up to play, you at home, students at home, you signed up to play an instrument or sing or be in an ensemble and rehearse high quality literature and have performances. But that kind of like is not necessarily like the focus right now. And that's okay to some extent, because you also signed up for an experience too. It's the experience of being collaborative, to have these discussions, to invest in each other, develop these relationships and those connections.
So one thing too, you know, you just talked about all of those things, right? Those are the things that you do, right? That's not the culture, right? The traditions and the customs and the activities, and like when you travel to another city or another country, they have events and, you know, that we kind of think of as the culture, but those are just things that they do to pass time and activities. The culture is like, what does it actually feel when I'm in, you know, Paris? That's the culture of the city. How do people behave? How do they act? So it's not just that, oh, they eat baguettes, so that's the culture of Paris. It's not really.
Absolutely. So are there any other comments from the panelists that we'd like to share about culture? It can be, I think about culture, we use the word so frequently. I think as human beings, we hear it all the time. The culture of our school, the culture of our heritages, our backgrounds, the culture of an organization or a business or things like that. And it's something that it can be seen such a broadly defined term. And it's important for us to think, okay, something that's really, really, what does it mean to us? What does it mean specifically and uniquely to Belmont Public Schools, Lexington Public Schools, our ensembles? So we're excited to have this discussion with all of you at home. I should say at school, so we were at school, in terms of this discussion about culture as we look forward to this crazy, not only this crazy year, but to the future in general. So I think about our time's up right now when it comes to just talking about culture. We're excited to have some conversations, some discussions in our own schools, and we look forward to talking about this with you all soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.